Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome once again. Very, very nice to see you all. So my name is Ayça. You can remember me as Chacha from Antalya, Turkey, from Antalya EU Center.
So, welcome everybody from the side of Associazione Joint.
We have today two experts. One is Sinem Bölükbaşı, who is also the monitoring expert of this project. And also the second one is Mr. Selman Çetin from Antalya. They are both from EU Directorate in Turkey. And I just wanted to thank, on behalf of the whole team, I wanted to thank them to be here today and share their information with us. And just one more remark is that today they will be giving a broad framework of the grant scheme.
Hello, everyone. So today I'll make a presentation about the new grant program, eTwinning 2. I'll continue in Turkish. Türkiye ve AB arasında şehir eşleştirmek.
The town twinning between Turkey and EU grant scheme, which is for green futures. So the reason we call this the second grant scheme is that in the past, the European Union department was conducting the first of the grant scheme. There are 23 local governments. There were 23 local governments, and we provided support for management of immigration, tourism, culture, environment. So under this grant scheme, the Union of Municipalities of Turkey, Union of Provinces, and Ministry of Environment were our partners, and the Directorate General for Local Authorities was the main beneficiary. But in this new term, the Union of Municipalities of Turkey is going to be the main beneficiary of this grant scheme, and the European Union Directorate, the Union of Towns, and also the Ministry of Climate Change are going to be the partners of this grant scheme. In the previous scheme, we developed a website, and within that website, we included everything, all kinds of activities on that website. And you can see the link to the website right now on the screen. You can go and check it out. You can see what we have done up until now and who were the participants of this grant scheme and what type of projects were conducted. You can find detailed information on this. The second grant scheme, by the way, this town twinning is also in compliance with the agenda of not only EU, but the whole world indeed. So we are going to be targeting the climate change in this second grant scheme. And the main objectives is, of course, fighting against climate change, environmental degradation, and environmental protection. The overall objective of the program is to enhance dialogue between Turkish and EU local authorities so that we can have a sustainable dialogue. But it's not only, of course, the local authorities, but also there are the NGOs, of course, which are going to be covered, like universities, development agencies, and other NGOs will be all covered by this grant scheme. The specific objective, on the other hand, is to create sustainable structures for stimulating exchange between local authorities in Turkey and the EU local authorities in areas relevant to climate and environment, again, to have sustainable organizations and structures, of course. There are certain priorities, of course, three priorities. The first one is relevant to the climate change, to have local plan strategies and roadmaps to be developed, or to have other decision-making tools to be produced. The second priority is to have and enhance the capacity to exchange adaptation know-how and experience among local authorities. And the third priority is to, of course, raise public awareness, especially among young children and also students. The projects to be prepared by you should have at least one priority area to be selected. And the budget totally is 2.5 million euros, and the minimum grant is 60,000, and the maximum is 100,000 euros for each project. So who can apply right now? Well, first of all, of course, you need to have a legal person identity and should be non-profit making. From Turkey, it should be a local authority, and also we can have local authorities from EU member states. And of course, you should be an eligible country according to IPA regulation. So who cannot apply? I mean, who cannot be the lead applicant, in other terms? Associations, foundations, city councils, village muhtars, private enterprises, branches or representative offices or contact offices of organizations, international organizations, professional or vocational associations, confederations, syndicates, cooperatives, and district governorates. You can find, of course, a detailed list of all these non-eligible parties. So who can be co-applicant then? In this program, there should be at least two co-applicants. I mean, there will be a lead applicant, and there must be at least two co-applicants in this grant scheme. The one of those co-applicants, if a lead applicant is from Turkey, if it is a, let's say, a local authority from Turkey as the lead applicant in the scheme, then there should be at least one eligible co-applicant, which is a local authority also from the EU member states. If the lead applicant is a local authority from EU member states, then they should have at least one eligible co-applicant from Turkey as a local authority again. Again, a lead applicant from other eligible countries should have at least one co-applicant, which is a local authority from Turkey, and also another co-applicant, which is a local authority from EU member states. The co-applicant two, I mean, the conditions for the co-applicant one is to become a local authority, that's for sure. For the co-applicant two, again, that should be a legal person, should be non-profit making, and should be established in a member state of the European Union or Turkey or an eligible country according to IPA regulation. As you know, it's the instrument pre-accession, as you all know, and as we mentioned before, this is one of the main source for funding that Turkey has been utilizing before accessing to European Union. So just like this town twinning project, which is also developed under the IPA strategy, that's why it is also mentioned in the first one as well. To continue with the co-applicant too, there might be an association, a federation, a confederation from Turkey, or it can be another such NGO from European Union or other eligible countries. So such exchanges also, for instance, can also apply as a co-applicant. So a local authority from Turkey will have another local authority from European Union, and you can have as a co-applicant second, you can have an association, foundation, university, or a development agency, I don't know. You can select them and become a triple formation.
Bu programa başvurabilir ya da Avrupa Birliği
and apply to this grant scheme. Or if there is a European Union local authority, they have to find a Turkish local authority first, and then they can also select another NGO, in short, from Turkey or from European Union or from an IPA eligible third country. Can be a development agency, can be a chamber or a similar foundation. and they can apply to this scheme in this way. Well, the duration cannot be less than 10 months and can't be more than 12 months. This is also very important. We have to underline this because, let's say, if you are targeting it 9 months, then your project will be rejected automatically. If you design it more than 12 months, again, you will be rejected. So please pay attention to the timing. We can also talk about, as you prepare the project, sometimes in some document it is written like 12 months, in another project document it's written 10 months. So please pay attention to that and please confirm and make sure that the time period is the same throughout the project documentation, because these are all also checked during the evaluation. Well, the sectors or themes are, of course, climate change, environment, sustainable urbanization, and if you look at the types of action, I've just listed, as you remember, 3 priorities, and your project should cover at least one of those priorities. As an example, for priority areas, what you can put forward is, for instance, if you take priority 1, then you can talk about the local strategies, roadmaps, and local decision-making tools. For instance, that you can also support certain activities for enabling local initiatives to support green economic development. Also, you can develop certain preparatory studies to support policymaking. Or you can have or develop voluntary local reviews. You can talk about the global agendas to be applied in the local sense. You can develop such programs. For the priority area 2, you can talk about developing or implementing technology and tools for climate change adaptation. And also you can share best practices. You can create networks for that purpose. You can ensure compliance with the effects of climate change in local and sectoral policies and strengthen capacity, interagency cooperation and coordination. You can find joint actions and increase the representation in European networks, and identify and monitor the effects at the local platforms. And as an example for priority 3, you can talk about actions targeting public awareness on climate change and environment, focusing on different groups of the community. You can also discuss the urgency of adapting to climate change, and also you can talk about the community-based adaptation measures to combat climate change. These are some of the examples for 3 priority areas of this grant scheme. There are, of course, ineligible actions. Well, a project means a body of activities indeed. So, but if you just say that I'm going to have a seminar or a conference, well, that is, of course, not enough. That's why your action will be ineligible. So from the technical perspective, seminars, conferences, workshops, they should all comply with the project activities and priorities. However, if you say that I'm going to have a conference on environment within this project, well, that is then ineligible, because as I previously mentioned, what we call a project is basically an integrity of various activities. Secondly, you will have, of course, training courses, because sometimes we see that applicants say that, okay, we are going to increase the awareness on environment, and in order to do that, we will have a training course. Well, delivering a training course is, of course, an activity of the project, but it cannot be the sole activity of any project. That's why, again, in that case, your project might be ineligible for this grant scheme. Another important issue is, of course, like conferences, roundtables, as I mentioned before, seminars, or just one-off actions cannot be also eligible for participation. I mean, there should be, as I mentioned, like a integrity of different activities. Trainings, of course, can be delivered within the scope of project, but you can't deliver individual scholarship for participants. Moreover, CFCU is the contractual authority, as you probably know. Any action that started before signing of the contract, again, will be ineligible for this grant scheme as a final word. Moreover, there might be ideologically biased or partisan in nature activities, or there might be actions supporting political parties or financial support activities. So these are also ineligible. You cannot give or sub-grant according to these grant schemes. Construction or investments for the adoption of new or supplementary facilities are also ineligible. Infrastructure projects are also ineligible for this program. Social service actions such as provision of food, clothing, health, or education fees, again, are ineligible according to this grant scheme. How about some exemplary actions? Well, as I mentioned before, workshops, trainings, study visits, campaigns, or I don't know, researches and analysis work, like other desk reviews. I don't know, but like innovative and technological solutions for a green future and preparing of plans, roadmaps. These are some of the types of activities that can be good examples for your projects. But as I mentioned before, if you just target at creating a roadmap only, and that's your activity or project, well, that is then ineligible for this grant scheme. But in addition to that roadmap, if you are saying that we will have different activities such as conferences, workshops, a study visit also, for instance, to your partner and or to other institutions. And if you develop certain outputs regarding these activities, then again, yes, you're going to be eligible for this scheme. There are other examples for other types of activities you can see. Well, of course, these are examples that we give within the scope of this activity. But of course, as you prepare your projects, you are not going to be limited, of course. In this regard, these are just some of the examples. There are important notes that we all have to pay attention to. First of all, projects that demonstrate promotion of gender equality and a positive impact on equal opportunities will have an upper hand in participation in application process. Again, innovations, best practices, public-private partnerships, and creative approaches, again, will have added value elements in your project. So it will be to your benefit to have such issues. Another important issue is that as you probably know, there is a socioeconomic development index. So there are regions which are 3, 4, 5, and 6. So those local authorities from these regions, if they are the lead or the co-applicant in a project, then those projects are much more advantageous compared to other ones. So if you're a local authority from regions 3, 4, 5, and 6, then you will be much more advantageous. And again, the language is recommended to be both in lead applicants and co-applicants languages. Another important issue is the number of applications. because there are some projects that are disqualified due to the number of applications. So as you are setting up your partnerships, please pay attention to the number of applications. So the lead applicant may not submit more than one application as a lead applicant under this call for proposals. And the lead applicant may be a co-applicant or an affiliated entity in another application, but only one at the same time. So you can be a lead applicant, but you can also be a co-applicant or an affiliated entity in another application. A co-applicant and affiliated entity may not be the co-applicant or affiliated entity in more than one application. So as a local authority, let's say from Turkey or from European Union, if you're a local authority, according to this scheme, you can become a lead applicant, and at the same time, you can also be a co-applicant or an affiliated entity in another application. However, you can't be a co-applicant in two different applications. So you can't be, as I mentioned, you can't be a lead applicant in two different applications. Please pay attention to that. So you should be either lead applicant and a co-applicant in another project, let's say. And if you are going to be a co-applicant only, then, I mean, if you are not a lead applicant in any project, if you are going to be a co-applicant only as a local authority or NGO, then you can be included only in one application. This is the same for, of course, NGOs, universities, or other types of organizations like development agencies. So in such organizations, you can be only one co-applicant in only one application. I am emphasizing this because as the organization select their co-applicants, they pay attention to that. But sometimes some co-applicants ignore this and become a co-applicant in various applications. They don't pay attention to this rule probably, and the lead applicant is not aware of it. So in that case, rejections come. And so as you establish your partnerships, you have to really confirm that. Another important note on the number of grants. As an applicant, you can receive only one grant, or you can receive only one grant again as a co-applicant, or you can be awarded two grants, one as a lead applicant and one as a co-applicant or affiliated entity, if you are in two different programs. So you can receive only one grant as a lead applicant, but you can receive two grants in case you are a lead applicant and also a co-applicant. So how to apply? March 1st, 2022 is the deadline for submission by local Turkish time, 5 p.m. The applications must be in English only. You can see the address for sending the applications inside the guidebook. As you can see, the address is also included here, and you have to follow the steps written down in the guidelines and send it to the relevant address. Of course, you should have concept note, checklist, declaration by the lead applicant, mandate for co-applicants, affiliated entity statement, electronic format of the concept note. This is a two-step application, by the way. In the first one, you will only send the concept notes. I mean, your concept note will be evaluated, and if it is positive, then the CFCU will contact you that your concept note is successful and it is time for the main application. So you will be notified by the CFCU. So currently, please only send the concept note. So just make sure that you have the concept note in the first application. Basically, these 6 documents are basically a single document, but different chapters of a document to say. But as I mentioned, the first one is relevant for the first part or first step of the application. Of course, you can have questions. You can send your questions to the email address that you see right now on the screen. As we mentioned, March 1st is the deadline, so you should have received your questions up to 21 days beforehand the deadline. So that's the latest. And the questions are responded as a bundle. I mean, all the questions will be answered all together by CFCU and also the main beneficiary. So please make sure that you send your questions to ttgs2@cfcu.gov.tr. Thank you. That's all on my part. If you have any question, I will be delighted to answer.
Thank you so much for the presentation. Do you have any questions? You can write the questions on chat or just turn on your mic. And
I'm seeing a question. Is it possible to share this presentation with us? I'm not sure, but I'll ask. If I can share, I will.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sinan, maybe we can add that this presentation is prepared based on the guidelines. So you can find all the notes, remarks, or points in the guidelines. Please read carefully the guidelines of the grant scheme.
Yeah, it is very important, which my colleague Salman mentioned. It is very important to read the guideline in detail, because all of the information which I mentioned in my presentation is coming from the guidelines. So please read the guidelines in detail. But okay, I will ask about the sharing the presentation or not. I can see some question. Daha önceden hibe aldığımız bir alana proje
For
geliştirmek.
instance, can we develop a project for an area for which we received a grant before? Well, yes. I mean, there is no obstacle. You can, of course, develop a project for a previous area, but that is, of course, relevant to the idea that, I mean, if you repeat same concept or idea with a similar project, of course, that is not going to be preferred very much. So if the evaluators or the CFCU finds out that it's a copy-paste project, or if it has been developed before, then of course they are going to reject it. But you can, of course, revise and make some additions or changes to one of your projects before, and of course you can develop a new one. Well, if you have new needs, let's say, or something new emerging from the previous one, of course, you can say, okay, we have.
Bunun üstüne kuruyoruz gibi. Bu ama sinemanın dediği gibi özgün olması önemli. Yani
why not, of course, but you have to be authentic, of course. I mean, it is not like a financing, a tool all the time. So creating a project is not only for funding issues. To give you an example, actually, this is a continuation of the previous grant scheme. So basically, you can bring an added value to one of your previous projects. Like, for instance, we have the Glory Network, e-models, videos. Now, in this new scheme, you can say that, okay, we're going to reinforce the network. So in this project, we would like to do other types of activities to restructure the project to make it more widespread. You can have such arguments maybe and develop a new project. So if I'm mistaken, please, you can also correct me, but this is some kind of a continuation, right? Well, yes, you're right. I mean, of course, we should abstain from, as I mentioned, copy paste of a previous project, but you can build on the other one.
But I cannot see the question. Katan.
That question came afterwards, related to the budget of the applicant shall has the contribution of 100% will be covered by the project.
Ve
Alta yazmış, birkaç şey alta yazmış.
related to the budget, the applicant shall has contribution or 100% will be covered by the project. This is the project. You can give the 90% of the grant for this project, for this grant program, not the 100. So you should put at least a 10% co-finance around about this grant program. Bu proje etabına başvuru sahibi olmak.
And also there's a question to become a co-applicant to cooperate in this project. Can the persons who are authorized by the local authority assembly sign the documentation regarding the project? Selman, would you like to answer this? Well, the mayor can sign, but of course, if there are other personnel or managers, let's say, appointed by the assembly of a local authority, yes, I think they can sign the project documentation.
Please. Okay, I can share. I
have
share
already
the link.
shared. Sinan biraz önce attım.
Okay, you shared. Maybe I can see by the way the website. I can share the website. Wait, I can share how you downloaded all the guideline and the documents. The Central Finance and Contract Unit's website, Merkezi Finans ve İhale Biriminin web sayfası, and you can download all the documents. Now you see the twinning for a green future grant scheme. Just enter. Now you are seeing here the call for proposals document. This is the guidelines for grant applicants. You can download the guidelines here and then you can see the documents to be filled. But here, the first stage and the second stage documents together. But in this stage, in the concept note stage, you will fill. Now I can show Annex A, Grant Application Form Part A, Concept Note. This is the document you have to fill in the concept note stages. Part A, I can show. You mentioned the description of the summary of the action. You made this summary. You have to make a summary in just the maximum 1 pages, and the description of action the maximum 2 pages. and relevance of the action. I mean, how your project is relevant with the specific objectives and the priorities of the grant program. And there are many questions in these concept notes. So you should answer all these questions carefully.
There are also, as I mentioned before, there are 23 local authorities supported in the first grant scheme. Of course, there are various dimensions. You can check for smart cities, for refugees. You can be inspired from those. There is a question on the chat box whether the per month costs are going to be covered within the co-financing. I don't know if it was translated, but it's a long question. But yes, the answer is yes. I mean, for co-financing, if you are a civil servant, let's say, within this grant scheme, the civil servants, of course, we're talking about Turkey right now, and if you are a civil servant, you don't receive a salary within the cover of the grant scheme, but their governmental salaries can be shown as a co-financing within the scope of the grant. As a general note, I can say that those people working in municipalities, of course, should pay attention to the fact that they should be under the payroll of the municipality. I mean, they should not be contractual workers. They should be the direct like officers or civil servants of the municipality under the payroll of that municipality. If you are an external contractor's personnel, you're not eligible for that co-financing.
Please also feel welcome to contact the network if you want to be partners in this project with, in this program. I don't know if you are experienced in IPA projects, especially for international participants. I'm saying it because I've heard from the Turkish ones that they have already some projects like this. But this is a great opportunity that you can do more structured, more, how to say, flexible finance things, because in Erasmus Plus, there are a lot of issues like you cannot really pay the staff, or you cannot purchase equipment, or there are various limitations in that sense. But in this one, you can do lots of things like that. So there are a lot of opportunities. And I just wanted to thank everyone today for being here.